Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 812 of the Juicebox Podcast. Today we have a returning guest. We're going to be speaking with Maddie, who's actually Max, but that you'll find out about later. Anyway, Maddie, or Max, was on episode 558, which is called After Dark Life Struggles, and she's back today to tell us more about her life. Let's see if her struggles have gotten lesser. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. It's the end of the year, but you can still go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox and join the registry. Then just fill out the survey. The whole process takes fewer than 10 minutes. When you do this, when you complete that survey, you're going to be helping people living with type 1 diabetes. You're going to be moving research forward, and you may find a little something in there for yourself. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Whew, that was a lot of talking. All right, you ready to get going? Yeah? All right. Let's do it. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Contour Next One blood glucose meter. You're going to learn more about that great little meter at contournext.com/juicebox. The podcast is also sponsored today by US Med. And US Med is where we get our diabetes supplies and where you could get them as well. usmed.com/ or you can call 888-721-1514. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox.
Oh gosh, I've been thinking about this and I'm I don't even know what to talk about. I didn't plan anything really. I kind of, forgot it until it showed up in my calendar this month. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, we're recording already. Let's figure it out. So, so I figure it takes about 6 months to get on the show. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so. Just about.
Yeah. From once I send a link, it takes about 6 months. So I'm not good with email, Maddie. So, I know I have a month's worth of emails I have to answer right now. And some people just keep sending them as if I haven't seen them. I'm like, oh, this is just making it worse. Please stop resending your emails.
I'm getting overwhelmed.
I don't, it's just me here. So, but anyway, once you get a link back and I ask you to find a time, it usually takes about 6 months to get something. And so, most episodes that people hear take a year to get to them. It's really interesting. But so you don't remember back then what made you reach out?
I do.
Okay.
I remember having those stomach issues, and it was my pancreas just doesn't like me.
Well, so wait a minute. You have diabetes?
Yes. Do you not remember our episode?
Maddie, I don't remember anything. Are you kidding?
Oh my God,
what episode were you on the first time?
Not special anymore.
Oh, you're special. Hold on a second. What episode were you on the first time? What was it? Do you remember what it was called?
So it ended up being an After Dark episode when it wasn't originally planned to be.
Oh, I do remember that.
And you named it I think it's Life Struggles or something like that.
Yes. Oh, it was just out it's funny. It probably seems so long ago to you, but I was like, well, that was just October in 2021. That was only 7 months ago. And I said, come back on at some point. Is that correct?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Okay. See, remember is a strong word, but I know what you're talking about. I only put After Darks out periodically, and there's been 7 since yours, and I've recorded 4 more. So but what's in my head is the most recent one that I edited, which was about a boy who had type 1. His mom had type 1, and he I think he had some bipolar and was an addict, and he OD'd at some point and passed away. And so that one's in my head right now. So, all right, Maddie, let's just refresh for people for a second. So for anybody interested, Maddie was on episode 558 called After Dark Life Struggles. So when you first came on to record that time, you didn't think it was going to be an After Dark, and I didn't either.
Not at all.
What about our conversation put it into the After Dark category?
Oh, you were like asking me about like my childhood or like something, or I don't remember what it was. Like I'd mentioned something and you're like, oh, wait, hold up. Like, let's talk about that a little bit more, I think.
And then we found some stuff.
Yeah. And then we cried. We both cried, little babies.
Well, that's not hard to get me to cry. So that's not a big bar to clear. But well, so since you've done it, since you recorded it, have you had any clarity? Like, has anything gotten better for you since then?
Yeah, some things have gotten better and some things haven't, I guess.
All right. Well, let's start at what got better. Go ahead.
Okay. I got a new job that I really enjoy. But I mean, now I'm gonna have to leave. I actually just put in my 2 weeks yesterday. I had like moved. So the commute has been much longer and it's been like very difficult. So it's like, unfortunately, like I'm gonna have to find someplace, closer to home. So I did.
So you found a job you liked, but it was too much of a commute?
Well, in the beginning it wasn't, because I lived nearby, and then I moved and it just like tripled my commute time. And I was like, I can't, especially because like I have to, drop off my son, like Oliver, to preschool, like before I come in. It's like way too early. Like, poor kid. Like he's a trooper though. But it's like I have to drop him off at 6 a.m. and we have to wake up at 5.
Maddie, I know who you are now. I know it's weird for you, but I love you. I had so much fun talking to you. My God, now I see your face. Like, I just looked online. I'm like, I know this voice. I know who this person is. I'm like, damn it. And you have that little boy, right? And
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, how are you? I know this is weird. I feel like we bumped into each other at the mall.
Like, it's all coming back.
Yeah. I feel like we bumped into each other at the mall. And like for the first couple minutes, I'm like, hey, how are you? You look great. And then and then at some point I'm like, oh my God, it's Maddie. I know who this is. Oh, well, now I'm so excited.
Love it.
Can you imagine that other people who have recorded the show are like, wait, he doesn't know at all when we get on? I'm like, I really don't. But interestingly enough, that's how we got Maddie's story the last time, because I didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah. That's right. Actually, that's right.
Yeah. See? So, all right. So you found a job. Let's do a high level here before we get into everything. So okay. You're how old?
I'm 25 now.
Right. Oh, congratulations. And how old is your son?
He's 4.
Okay. You have type 1?
Yes.
And there's something going on with him. Am I right?
He beat cancer.
That's right. Look how I just said there's something going on. This little boy beat cancer. And I'm like, he had a thing. What was it? And he's still doing well?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing pretty good. We have to regularly get like checkups and scans done and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, cancer wise, everything looks fine. So he had to do like so much chemo and so much radiation, that it, and eventually, caused him to not be able to walk, during treatment. Wow. Like first it was braces up to his knee, like ankles, and then it was braces up to his knees. And then it was those braces and a walker. And then eventually it was just like nothing for a long time. So he has like very, his bones are still getting stronger.
Did he have?
He's still catching up a little bit in some ways.
Was he getting that the bone pain after chemo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like from that, and then right when he was starting physical therapy, after he was able to like kind of walk again, right when like he was like finishing it, he actually broke one of his legs. So he was in a cast for that, and then like he had to put on a boot, and physical therapy longer. He was fine, I'd say, for like about a year now. And then he actually just got seen for like his checkup again, and they're like, oh, like he has to start physical therapy again. His legs are a little bowed. They're like, hopefully, like we've caught it soon enough that we can correct it. Like if not, like he's probably gonna have to get surgery next year. And I was like, oh, great. Like another thing.
We needed something to do. That's perfect news. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then he's been like having stomach issues, and like some of the tests done on his liver have been a little off. So we need to see a specialist for that too.
Is he
just because going through, like the radiation and stuff, it actually gave him VOD, one of the side effects, and it's like blood clots in the liver. And he's like in the hospital for a month straight, just like hooked up to so much stuff, like reversing it. So yeah, we need to get his liver checked out again. Hopefully that's okay.
It's crazy all the things that medicine can do for cancer now. Since you and I spoke, my mom was diagnosed and had to have a pretty radical surgery to remove the cancer, and she's 79, and tolerated the surgery okay, and she just finished her chemo last week. So she just got her second scans back, and they told her they look good, and she's trying to be proud of herself, but she's so old. She's just like, she's from another time. She's like, that's it. I did that. Like, what are we going to do now?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm like, Mom.
So she's like completely done, like with the maintenance chemo too.
At the moment, she doesn't need any more chemo. So,
that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. We're all like, Mom, you should celebrate. She's like, I didn't do anything. I was like,
throw her a big surprise party.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Her birthday is coming up pretty soon. I said, maybe we should do that. And if she can't celebrate it for herself, we'll have to find a way to do it for her, Yeah. So, okay. Well, all right. Well, how's your diabetes stuff going?
I mean, I was struggling again for a while. I'm actually just like getting back on track now. Cause I want to get a pump and a real CGM. I just have the Freestyle Libre. Mm-hmm. As my doctor is like super for it. And I feel like it would be much easier, with my activity level now.
How is your activity level risen?
It's risen insanely. I'm no longer like at a desk job. The job that I'm at right now that I'm, leaving in 2 weeks. I'm like a team lead on a food manufacturing, like production floor. So I'm like constantly running around and like a fridge and freezer for like 9 hours a day. And then I do roller derby now.
For fun?
So it's so much fun. I love it so much. Like, I also just feel like a badass, and it's great. And Oliver loves coming to practice.
We used to go to roller derby. There was one near here, a league, and we would go a lot actually when we were younger to watch, and our kids were really small. It was a ton of fun watching. Actually, I always like, oh my God, they're going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt. And everybody was always kind of okay. It was interesting.
I know.
How'd you get involved? How'd you get involved in that?
Oh, that's kind of a sad story now. Okay. So I don't know if you remember when we recorded our first episode we kind of got into like the topic of my mother, like my birth mother. And like she had like passed away when I was young. It was like the day before my birthday. And so it was like, I've never really enjoyed celebrating my birthday, like a lot, like not every year. This past year, like I was sick and, I just wasn't like feeling good. And I was like out and about, and I was like, I want to do something, like I want to take myself out, and just randomly I looked online and was like, well, like what's happening like around me. There's like a roller derby bout in 30 minutes and I could make it. And I was like, I'm taking myself. Like I'm definitely taking myself to this right now. And I did. And like, I fell in love with it. And, like after the bout was done, I was like, how can I get into this? Like, tell me how now. And
Maddie,
they're
you're
like,
not
oh,
that big, are you?
oh, I'm almost 5'6".
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I guess that's pretty tall, right?
I feel like it's average.
I think of
Maybe.
you as tiny. I don't know why.
Oh, it was like we were talking about that,
I
on the
know.
other episode. You're
Yeah,
like, you're small. And I was like, no.
yeah. It's your face. Like there's something about your face. You look like a pixie or something. I don't know how to put it exactly, but you when I see your face, I think the rest of you is going to be super tiny for some reason. But 5'6" is a legitimate height. So, are you out there knocking girls around?
Yes, and it's great. And I'm falling. Like I actually have my left shoulder's hurt right now, and like my right hip is a little bruised up, but it's fine.
But it's fine
It's
because
fine.
it's that much fun.
Yes, I'm like I pay to do this, and I enjoy doing this, and I'm like I'm getting beat up on a rink, but it's fine.
How often do you is it a match? They call them matches?
They call them bouts.
Bouts. Okay.
So actually the thing about like roller derby, it's like not a sport you can actually just like jump in and join. You have to take a 3-month course before you can pass the skills test and then be able to join the league or a team. So right now I'm like currently doing they call it crash course, and I actually get tested at the end of this month. I'm very excited.
Oh, so your 3 months is almost up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to take the test, and if you take the test, then you can go. Like, what do you go into? Like a pool, and a team can pick you, or do they assign you to a team?
No, I actually can pick which team.
Oh wow, that's fun. Is it close to your house?
So I mean, not really. I mean, I guess it's actually just close by my workout here, so it's like 30-40 minute drive depending on traffic.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, if you're having fun, who cares, right?
Yeah.
And your son comes along to practices and everything?
Yes, he loves it, and everyone loves him, of course, because he's just too cute.
Yeah. No, I know. No, I would. That's a nice thing. He gets to see you doing something active, and you guys get out and do stuff. And you're. I mean, does it help you like get frustrations out, or what's the benefit of it?
I feel like I'm separating or like giving myself like quality like time with myself, like I'm constantly working or like doing something, and I just like it gets to be a lot sometimes, and I was like I need to do something for myself.
That's excellent.
And I did, and it's just it's fantastic. It's like a stress reliever. It takes me like out of thinking about everything going on. It's my escape.
It's excellent. I'm glad you found something. That is, what were you before that? Just working and being a mom, and working and being a mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Are you seeing anybody, or are you just you and he on your own right now?
Right now it's just him and me. So actually, when my first episode came out, I actually was with someone, and that kind of just like burned down in flames. But it's okay. And I'm like, I actually like. I prefer the single life. Like it's so much easier, and like I'm super busy anyway. I'm like I don't even have time.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe one day you'll meet somebody else. You said that your diabetes got off track. What happened?
It's like just like with my ex, like I wasn't doing good like mentally, and so like I stopped like taking care of myself, and kind of just like went down that little rabbit hole again for a little bit. But I mean, it didn't get to a point where I was like getting hospitalized for like DKA or anything. Like my blood sugars, just like obviously like running higher.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been, like doing a lot better now that I've, like have separated myself from him. So that happened in February.
Okay.
So like it's only been like 2 or 3 months.
Can you describe a little bit about what happened? So you have a relationship, it doesn't go well, and as it's ending, like specifically, you stop counting carbs, you stop pre-bolusing meals. Like what happens, and then how does it get away from you? When you have diabetes and use insulin, low blood sugar can happen when you don't expect it. Gvoke HypoPen is a ready-to-use glucagon option that can treat very low blood sugar in adults and kids with diabetes, ages 2 and above. Find out more. Go to gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used in patients with pheochromocytoma or insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk. I've tried a number of different ways to talk about the Contour Next1 blood glucose meter over the years, talked about its size or how well it works. I mean, the accuracy alone is probably enough for you to be. And I tell you about how the Contour Next1 could end up costing you less money if you just bought it over the counter, didn't even go through your insurance. But in the end, I think what really resonates with people are these two things. I think this ad should be 10 seconds long. It should sound like this. The Contour Next1 blood glucose meter is small, easy to use, and incredibly accurate. Plus, the test strips offer you second chance testing. So if you get some blood but don't get enough, which is not to say that it needs a lot of blood, because it doesn't, but if you get some but not enough, you can go back and get more without messing up the erroring or experiencing an error on the test strip. All right, so maybe more like 30 seconds long. Anyway, contournext.com/juicebox. It's a place where you can learn more, you can get started, or you can just buy all this stuff online with the big buy now link that you'll see when you get there. contournext.com/juicebox. In the end, you want and deserve an accurate blood glucose meter. Everything starts with that test and what it says, right? Is it accurate? I mean, is my blood sugar 80? I want to know. contournext.com/juicebox. Now we're going to move on to talking about the place where Arden gets her diabetes supplies. And no surprise here, you could get your supplies there as well at usmed.com/juicebox. Now go to the link to get started. That's it, usmed.com/juicebox. If you don't prefer the internet, if you're like really attached to the phone, call 888-721-1514. These are your options. They are plentiful and easy no matter what you choose. Why would you do this? Well, just quickly, US Med accepts Medicare nationwide and over 800 private insurers. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they always provide 90 days worth of supplies and fast and free shipping. US Med has everything from insulin pumps to diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs, like the Freestyle Libre 3 and the Dexcom G6. Pretty soon, there might be other Dexcoms. Better service and better care is what you're going to get from US Med. They are the #1 distributor for Freestyle Libre systems, #1 specialty distributor for Omnipod DASH. We get our Omnipod supplies from US Med. We get our Dexcom supplies from US Med. You can too. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Get your free benefits check and get started with white glove treatment from US Med. It's that easy. And you have time off. The holidays are coming. I know you're sitting around not doing anything. Call US Med. All right, there's a tiny bit of music left, so let me remind you, t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Go take the survey. And now let's get back to Maddie, who will soon be Max. Oh, you'll see about that in a second. You stop counting carbs, you stop pre-bolusing meals. Like what happens, and then how does it get away from you?
Like, I usually stop taking like my ADHD medication, and that's like a big thing that like actually helps me take care of my diabetes, because without it, I'm like, oh, like I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to be physically able to, basically.
Is that a semi?
But,
I'm sorry. Is that? I didn't mean to cut you off. There's a little bit of a lag. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I was saying, like I stopped taking my medication, and then I stopped taking my insulin, and like I'm not watching what I'm eating, and then like like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling a little crappy, but I'm not like awful. Like I had, like I said, like have DKA or anything, because I was still taking my long acting, so I still had something in me, but it was like, yeah, like, just like covering for carbs and like really eating like I should.
So okay, so let me see if I can understand a little bit, or maybe we can figure it out together. So life starts to fall apart in your personal life. You stop taking the ADHD medication. Is that on purpose? Do you do that because without that you won't have to focus on all this stuff? Or does it happen by mistake, where life gets hectic, you miss a pill, then you miss another pill, and then all of a sudden you're experiencing ADHD at its full power, and then it's hard to even start taking the pills? Like, which do you think happens?
I mean, it's more of like a purposeful act. Like, I'm like, oh, like I'm just gonna like miss my meds. Like, I woke up late anyway, or like whatever. Or it's just like, it'll be like a super busy morning, and like I space it, and it'll be like, just a couple hours later, I'm like, gosh, like I'm like struggling. I'm like, I don't want to take it, late in the day, because then it's hard for me to go to sleep, and it just makes it even worse. But then, yeah, so I'll like miss this, and then like I'll miss it like the next day. And then I'm like, oh, you know what, like whatever, like I've already missed it. Like, I don't care, to take it. And then, then my diabetes starts declining along with that.
Mm-hmm. How aware are you of what's happening while it's happening? Like, do you see it crumbling around you and you don't care, or do you not notice it right away?
Oh, no, I'm very aware of it. I'm almost like hyper aware. But so I've always never been really want to reach out. I'm just like, I can do it on my own.
So,
and then,
well, it's interesting because it's a conflicting message, right? Like, so you're saying, I want to check out, and at the same time you're saying, I don't need help, I can handle this, in a moment when you're not handling it. But yet, has this ever happened at all with the care of your son? Like, remind people for a second, how old was your son when he was diagnosed with cancer?
He was 2.
He was 2, which made you about 22 years old?
I was 23.
Okay, so made you really young. He was really young. You were really young. Did you ever falter for taking care of him, or were you always handling him?
Oh, no, like it was hard for me. It was very hard. Literally like the next month after I had actually gone missing, I actually just like reconnected with an old friend, acquaintance, and he was like, I'm pretty sure like the way I found out about it, like you missing, was like on the news. And I was like, I didn't even know I was on the news. I was like, I knew it was all over Facebook and like social media. Because like when I finally came to and like contacted like my sister, and like I was like, I'm okay. Like I just like seen it all over social media. I wasn't aware that it was on the news.
How long were you gone for?
So I think it was like 2 days, like a day or two.
And you just kind of picked up and left, like ran away from everything, or?
So like after Oliver was diagnosed, like you get sad. Like I just
Sure.
like fell into like a depression, and again, like I stopped taking like my ADHD medication, and then I stopped taking care of my diabetes, and then like what I try to explain to people too is like, someone without diabetes or like a very like serious medical condition, they can fall into a depression like very easy, and like people won't like shower for like weeks, or like clean their house, or like they won't go to work. It affects them like so badly. And I was like, with having a medical condition like diabetes, it's like it gets so much like scarier, like worse, like life threatening, like it can be like so much quicker, because of that aspect.
Right, because it's not just you kind of sheltering yourself away and being depressed. It's everything else that's happening at the same time. And you have the ADHD medicine on top of that. So it's diabetes. The one thing makes the other thing more difficult. Actually, they both make the other thing more difficult.
Yeah.
I would imagine once your blood sugar gets high, you're probably, more easily annoyed and irritated, and then everything just keeps piling up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just kind of you have to remind me, do you get high or no?
So I mean, not very often, but yes, I do.
Okay. Is that where you disappeared to for 2 days or?
No, so actually, like I stopped taking care of myself. And I really enjoy driving, like to just like calm down, like I used to live in Orem, and where I lived was very close to like the canyon, like the mouth of the canyon. And I would just like drive through it almost every day, I swear. And so like I went for a drive because I was just like, I need to chill out a little bit. Like I'm just like so emotional, like I'm so stressed out, like I'm so upset, like all of this is going on. And my blood sugar was super high, and I had pulled off the freeway at some point because I was no longer living near the canyon. So I was like, I'm just gonna drive on the freeway for a bit and then turn around and come back. But I woke up in the hospital. Like I pulled over and like called for help or something happened, and yeah, I was just there.
Where was your son for those 2 days?
So he was with his dad. So actually, like how they became aware of me, I guess like being missing or something being wrong so quickly was because that night, Oliver's dad was supposed to drop him off to me, and he was like, she's not answering her phone, like she's not answering like the door, like nothing. And they're like, oh, like she's not here. And then they're like, okay, like we need to file like a missing persons report. We need to get on this like super quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, geez. All right, Maddie. It doesn't take long for me to start feeling paternal in these conversations, and I start getting upset. It's upsetting. So the most recent time that things kind of fell off for your care, it was about just kind of a breakup of a relationship. And when it was happening, and it was the same thing that had happened to you in the past, is there any guardrails for you to help you get back quicker? Or do you have somebody in your life that you could turn to say, hey, it's happening. I need somebody to make sure I'm on my ADHD medication so that I can keep taking care of my diabetes? Or is it just like, does it just fall off? Like, do you understand what I mean? Is there anything in place for you? Anybody who can support you?
I mean, I know I have support, like, my family and like my friends, and like Oliver's dad's family's there for me. Like I said, I'm just very hyper independent, and I'll be like, I don't want to ask for help, but then like it'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, like no, like I need help. I actually, just reached out to Oliver's dad's mother and his fiance as well. I was like, you know what, like I'm struggling, like I need help. Like I don't want this to affect my care for Oliver, Yeah. And like they're of course like they're happy to help. Like they would help as much as they can. Like without a doubt, it's just I know myself, or I'm just like hard headed. But then like I'll like now, like I'll come to the realization a lot sooner than later.
Yeah. Can I ask you something that I think is going to be difficult, but I'm wondering, and I mean, you're here. So, how old were you again when your mom passed?
So it was the day before my 7th birthday.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about your own life? Do you think you're going to die early?
I do. A lot of people are like, no, like that's not true. Don't think that way. Because I mean, like I have a lot, like of medical conditions now. And like I know, like my body is damaged from all of the, I was going to say miscare, but I was like, no care at all, like really growing up, because I was also like such a late diagnosis with my ADHD. Whereas like, I just wasn't able to, like, it was like so debilitating. Like just trying to, but like I couldn't because we didn't know, or like it wasn't like addressed when I was younger.
I understand. So ADHD, type 1 diabetes, tell people what else you have going on.
Okay, so ADHD, type 1 diabetes, I have chronic pancreatitis, exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, I have diabetic neuropathy, I have endometriosis, and what's that other one called? It's I have ulcerative colitis now, apparently, and they're like still trying to determine whether or not I have Crohn's disease.
Are you being helped with any of this? Like, is there a way to make any of it better?
Oh, and I have medication for most of those things, or like see specialists, and stuff like that.
Can you describe how the endometriosis affects you?
Oh, so I used to have super like insanely heavy periods and like the worst cramps ever. Like I was prescribed like actual like narcotic like pain medication for how bad my period would hurt me.
Right.
And then I was actually starting to get like abscesses like on my ovaries. And like it was just
Ooh, Maddie, you're gone. Hold on a second. Maddie? Maddie.
I'm sorry. Could you hear me?
You disappeared for a second. Abscesses on your ovaries. That's the last thing I heard.
Oh, yeah. So I was just like, I need to get this fixed, like somehow, or like get, like some treatment for it. And, you tried a whole bunch of like different like birth controls, but it's also tricky just with, like diabetes as well. There's like I can't take the pill because if you have diabetes, it actually puts you at high risk for blood clots. So I was like, can't do that, try some other things, like didn't help. And, like I had to get surgery, for my endometriosis, to like basically like scrape off the scar tissue off of, like my reproductive organs.
Did that help at all?
It actually did, for like about a year after I had it done. And then I started getting the pain again and like the heavy bleeding. And so I went back to my doctor and I was like, can we please like do this surgery again? Like I was like in tears begging him, and he was like, no. He was like, the reason why we can't, like do it like yearly or like very often is because, like multiple surgeries will actually just make it worse. It's going to cause even more scar tissue, like adding on to, like everything else going on with your endometriosis. And I was like, God damn it. Like, okay. Okay, I guess. But, like obviously, like having a period, like hormone stuff like that, that also, like raises your blood sugar. And then it would just like, it would be like, I wouldn't eat because I was in so much pain, and just like making it a little bit harder to manage. And then, sorry, like when I first got that surgery, actually I hadn't been diagnosed with ADHD yet. And so, like I'd be in a lot of pain. I'd stay in bed. I'd miss my medication. I'd start to miss my insulin. So, I mean, I feel like everything just, like affects the other, and it makes it difficult.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, did your health issues have anything to do with your last relationship not working, or was it just purely personal?
It was personal. It, I started seeing some red flags, and I ignored it for a little while, and then I started addressing them, and then it made things worse.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm done. Like, I need to get out of this, like, as quickly, like, as possible. Because, like, I'm, obviously, as I've grown, I'm more aware of things. I've learned from my past mistakes, and I was like, I need to take this care of now. Like, I can't and will not tolerate this anymore.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Remind you, your father's still around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my father lives about like half an hour from me. My biological father, my stepfather that raised me. We were talking about that last episode.
Yeah.
I don't have any contact with him anymore at all.
Well, would your biological father be a good like backup for you? Like, could you explain to him what you're going through and tell him you need like support and help sometimes, even if it's like just emotional or, somebody being around?
Yeah, like most definitely.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I went to my parents for Mother's Day. I brought Oliver with me, and my mom was like, my stepmom, my father's wife, I call her mom. She was like, we like kind of like wanted to like tell you something about like, like your sister and like your dad. They're like, they've like both have just recently been diagnosed with ADHD as well. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, we got it from you, because it actually is like, a genetic thing. You pass it down. And I was like, we got it from you. But, it kind of got emotional because, like when you're a late diagnosis, it's like you look back on your life and you're like, if only, like we found out so much sooner, like my life would have been so much different. Like my life makes so much sense now. Like I thought it was crazy or like whatever. Or like the missed potential,
Yeah. Because
And
if he had the medication, he might have been able to do something differently, and it could have had a cascading effect and impacted everybody. Plus, you would have known earlier that you had ADHD, and then you could have gotten help sooner as well.
And so it was just like, like bittersweet. And then I was like, now you can like kind of like understand when I was younger, and they're like, why can't you just like take your insulin? Like, how to do it. Like you're capable of doing it. You've had it for so long. They're like, why can't you do it? And I would tell them, I'd be like, I just don't know. Like, I will think about it. Like it will be like a huge like weight in my brain. I'm like, it's all I can think about. I'm just not physically able to will myself to do it.
Just doesn't happen.
But like, I want to. Like the want is there, but I can't.
And is there anything that could force you to overcome? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have ADHD, so I don't understand it completely. But I mean, I'm struck while we're talking and remembering your story from the first time and then building on it here. I mean, you lost your mom when you were young. I assume you don't want your son to lose you. Is that, I'm sure it's in your head. Like, you're a smart person. You think about things, but it's in your head, but that's not enough, right? You can't overcome it just because of that.
It's like, it'll work for like a little bit. I think it's like with ADHD, it's like the dopamine. And it's like, that's like what I was also like trying to explain to like my parents when I was younger. It's like, I can take care of myself. Like once I start like feeling I'm getting, like the dopamine from it. But then it's like, once the dopamine like runs out, like, it's like, I fall back into the cycle of not doing it. But then it's like, I can do it for a couple months, and then I just like fall off because I'm not happy with it. But I'm like, I hate taking care of diabetes. No one wants diabetes.
Right.
Like I just get to the point and then I stop, or I used to stop. Now I'm medicated. I can do it.
Well, it's, I mean, it's hard not to feel bad when you're talking, because I mean, you need somebody there who doesn't have ADHD, who can help you stay, on the path you're on, and notice when you're off the path and get you back on it quickly. How long was the break from you taking care of your health? Like, when I think you said like the relationship kind of stopped in February. How long did it take you to get back to minding yourself well?
So actually, I moved out of his house in early February.
Okay.
And so it took about a month, I'd say, because another like hard thing to do was like moving like all my prescriptions over, and then having to get like doctor authorizations and like, you know, just like getting everything switched over was like such a hassle. And then for a while, the pharmacy was like, oh, like your insurance isn't active. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I literally went to the doctor like last week, you know, like I was like, I've had my insurance for years. Like, and they're like, it says it expired in 2013. And I was like, that is insane. And so it turns out, you know, that, you know, like while I hadn't been able to like fill my prescriptions because I was like, they're insanely expensive. Like I'm not able to afford that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like we finally called the insurance, like, cause like I told them, I was like, you know, I was like, I'm not leaving this, you know, like counter until you call them because like I need this to live. Like, come on. So they did, and they're like, oh, I guess they like changed like the system or whatever. Like we don't need to put like the 2 extra zeros at the beginning of the number. And I was like, oh my God.
That was it?
Like, really? That was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maddie, I have a question. Do you have a roller derby name yet? Because I have a suggestion if you don't have one.
I do. What is your suggestion though? I want to hear it.
Well, as we used to watch roller derby, I would tell Kelly all the time, if I ever become a woman and start doing roller derby, I'm going to make my name Chicken Patty.
I love it.
And that's all. I don't even know why. I just think it's hilarious.
I love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I do have a roller derby name. My roller derby name is Peach Clobber. For short, I go by Peaches.
That's good though. That's excellent. Peach Clobber is excellent.
What I also love about like roller derby is we actually have a couple girls that have type 1 as well.
Really?
Yeah. So the first person that I like was skating around with, like on basically like the, I don't know, what would you call it? Like what's that word? Like orientation, I guess, for like the derby. I was like skating with her and I had noticed she has an Omnipod.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I need to show you something. And like, I pulled down my shirt and like I showed her my sensor. And she's like, hey. And then, yeah, so I think she's actually a travel nurse. She has type 1 as well. And she actually has an alert dog too. Like she's brought him once.
Huh. The dog can't roller skate, can it?
No.
That's a shame. Hey, so not to make this a business thing for me, but you're saying an Omnipod will stay on while you're participating in roller derby?
Yes.
Wow. Omnipod.com/juicebox. Thank you.
Take that opportunity.
Yeah, that's really a great idea. I mean, if it's going to hold on for that, I can't imagine what it wouldn't hold on for. So you've met some people. Wow, you've met people with type 1 through the roller derby already.
Yes.
Oh, that's really excellent.
I'm so happy.
Is there any kind of, I mean, obviously the podcast and I mean the Facebook page and stuff like that for like diabetes exists. Is there community around ADHD at all?
I mean, and like I've like seen groups like on Facebook, and I mean the only ones that I really, you know, like joined is just the ones that have memes. You know, get my giggles.
I guess it would be hard though, right? Because when you need help, you're usually struggling. And when you're struggling with ADHD, you're not taking your medication maybe. And then, I mean, that makes it difficult for you to be, I would imagine, focused to help other people as well as yourself. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't lend itself to it. I don't know. I just thought, I don't know, the entire time you're talking, like, I just want you to have like a person. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. I just want you to have somebody that you can turn to when you need it. Because you're still super young. Like you've been through enough in literally just the last couple of years to fill a lifetime for somebody.
I know.
Seriously, Maddie. It's not right. Obviously there's no fair or not fair in the world. That's not how things work. But if there was, you'd be getting screwed. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Do you notice it changing at all as you get older? I'm just asking, like, as your mind, I mean, I'm trying to ask as you get more mature, but I mean, I don't know, your maturity might have come pretty early in life, but do you notice that at all? Do you notice, like, as you get older, you get more experiences and it becomes easier, or is it the same struggle today that it was like 5 years ago?
No, it becomes much easier. I I tend to like look back,
Hmm.
often, and I'm like, oh yeah, like in that moment, like I may have been, like confident about my decision or like didn't care about something or whatever. And like I reflect a lot. And I'm like, I've learned, like, from mistakes, from decisions, like stuff like that, and it really does help me out now. And oh, I can definitely tell, like I'm more responsible. I put in an effort much more than I used to.
Yeah.
Like there's been a big change in me.
Yeah.
Oh, funny about that, it's talking about big change. I don't know if you noticed on like my Zoom name or whatever, I have like Maddie/Max. So since we've, talked last, actually I go by Max now.
Oh,
Like,
how do I not know this? I'm sorry. Well, I wish you would have told me 45 minutes ago, but that's okay. Wait, you, so tell me about that.
okay, so um I used to be a waitress, and at the restaurant that I was waitressing at, there was two other Maddies. So there was three of us.
Hmm.
And I was like, we need something to defeat that word, to, tell the difference between
Differentiate.
us.
I know
Like,
this one.
yeah,
Hold on. Let
I
me,
can't.
Max, let me have this for a minute because there's times I don't get them. Differentiate.
Yes.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Thank you.
No, please. I was just showing off. Go ahead.
And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna change my name. Like first it was just at work. I was like, you guys, like call me Max now. Like I got a new name tag. Like changed my server card, and I was like, you can just call me Max. And um, I liked it. Like I really liked it. Like I felt like it just like really resonated with me. And then I started introducing myself as Max outside of work. Um, and it just like stuck. It just felt right.
Oh, good.
Um, and eventually came to a point where I was like, Maddie, who? Like I didn't even like react to the name anymore.
And, and Max,
And
this is just a name. It's not like a gender thing or an identity thing.
no, it's just my name,
Yeah.
no gender like involved. Um, and I was like thinking over it, and I was like, you know what, like since that, like I feel like I've just also like really have grown so much as a person. I feel like I've outgrown Maddie. Like I'm not Maddie anymore. Like
Okay.
I'm not that person. Um, like I've blossomed into a beautiful butterfly called Max.
Well, that's really wonderful. Do you find people asking you what it's short for, and then you have to say it's just Max, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, like I get asked that pretty often. And I'm like, no, I'll tell them my real name. I'm like, my like actual name is Madeline.
Hmm.
And I also, but I don't go by that. And they're like, no, they're like, Max like really suits you. They're like, we like Madeline's not it. And I was like, I know. I know.
It would
But
definitely
yeah.
I mean, your face. I don't know. I look at you and I have to agree. I don't know that Madeline's the first thing I would think of if somebody asked what your name was. So, um, what what about, like, talk about it for one more second? Like, just choosing a different name, like rebranding yourself or feeling like you're starting over. Is it give you a big kind of psychological boost?
It does, definitely. Because like I said, like I look back on my life a lot. I look back, like a couple years ago, and like I was very different. I was a lot more different.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm just like that's not me. And now it's like this new Max that's doing like good and like or like better. Um, it makes me feel, you know, just happy because
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a new person. Like I'm becoming more of like what I've wanted, but wasn't doing back then.
You think you're raising yourself right now? Does that make
What?
sense? Like, do you think you're raising yourself right now? Like you're a mom to Oliver. Do you think you're allowing yourself to kind of guide yourself as well, not just him? If that makes sense. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
Are you God, that thought just went right out of my head. Damn it. This is what happens when you get old, Max. It's what was I gonna say? Raise yourself, blah blah blah. Duh, duh, duh. I can't find it. Damn, I'm sorry.
Hey, maybe you have undiagnosed ADHD.
I just blew the flow of the conversation. Damn it. Oh, it pisses me off. I'm so proud of when conversations flow from one thing to another, and I just ran in the middle. I just ran in the middle of this talk and yelled, "Stop! Everybody stop!" And then I didn't have anything to share after that. I can't for the life of me think of what I was just going to ask you. Change your name, make you feel different. Do you feel like you're raising yourself? God, I'm going to curse. Fuck.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I can't find it. All right, you say something and I'll go back and find it later.
Now I don't even know what to think about because I was thinking about you not thinking of that thing anymore.
And the episode's over. Maddie will be back when she can refocus in a few months, and we'll keep talking right where we left off. Well, I mean, you've been through so much in such a short amount of time. I understand the idea of just wanting to start over again and leaving behind the stuff that happened before. Are you able to leave behind some of it, but not all of it? Or do you have to just like draw a line and start over?
I'm not sure I really understand what you're asking.
Like, can you remember your mom, for instance, without being sad about your mom? Can you pick and choose what you bring over to the Max life? Or do you have to just cut everything off that happened before and start fresh?
Oh, no, like I can, like definitely, like look back at, like things or whatever and, like not get upset about it. Like it doesn't, like a lot of things don't really affect me. Now it's, just the current events, I guess.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it can, like it will affect me usually, like if I'm going through something, like in the now, and it makes me kind of like remember something else. And I'm just like, oh, like it's been so bad. But if like it's just a normal time or whatever, like I can talk about stuff, like I can remember things, like,
Yeah.
And like everything's fine, won't affect me.
Because it will eventually be, I mean, it sounds crazy when you're 25 maybe, but eventually it will be 20 years from now and you'll be 45. And this time won't be as bright of a memory and you'll still be living in the moment, and colored by what has happened to you in the past. But you learn as you get older that it's not as important. Nothing's really as important as it feels in the moment.
Oh,
But the only way to make that true is to keep living and keep going. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
When, somehow someone hears about, like something that I've gone through, like some, like whatever, they're like, oh, like you're, like so strong, or like, oh, like how are you doing, or like stuff like that, or when someone else is going through something, and or like even just like if a little problem like happens in your day or whatever, like I always tell people, I'm like, okay, like that's happened now, like you've experienced whatever like you've experienced, but it's in the past. I'm like, right now, like in this moment, you can make a decision to like make it better or like make it worse or like just ignore it or whatever. I was like, but that like ultimately that's up to you. And I was like, you can't change what's happened. Like it's happened, like just focus on the future or, like the present and, like work towards a better outcome of the situation that's happening.
Do you know on the podcast when I kind of talk about insulin and I say what you're doing with insulin right now isn't for now, it's for later?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think life's like that. So the truth is, if you really listen closely to the podcast, you'll hear how I think about things over and over again. And you'll see that I really just manage diabetes the way I think about life. So,
Yeah.
And that's sort of where the sayings come from and the ideas and stuff like that. And I think about that to simplify the idea. My son's 22 now, and he's going to graduate from college in a couple of weeks. And it's possible, unless he goes on to play somewhere else, that the other day Cole played in his last baseball game. And he started playing when he was 4. So there was 18 solid years of him playing baseball. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, there was no breaks. He didn't take off a season. Cole played in the spring. He played in the summer. He played in the fall. Like, Cole's been playing baseball for 18 years. And as you're doing it, you look for purpose in it sometimes, because it's not a thing you succeed at often. I mean, let alone constantly. Like, you can show up on a Saturday and be bad or not have success, and then still go to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and then come back on Saturday and it doesn't work out. But then 3 weeks from now, it works out, and then it'll work out for a couple of days, and then it stops and it goes back and forth. And anyway, that's hard to stay focused on while you're in it, because you're working so hard. You think, well, every time I whip this thing out to show it to somebody, it should do what I need it to do. I've practiced so hard. But I used to tell him that you don't play baseball for what happens today. You play baseball to keep playing baseball, so that the next time you do this, you'll be a little better at it, so that you can keep building up these experiences and get better and better and better. And why? I don't know. There's no answer to that, because even as a college baseball player, there's divisions in baseball: D1, 2, 3, and JUCO. There's 4 divisions. In any year, Max, only about 9,000 kids are playing college baseball. And the year that they started Little League, when they were 4, like my son, 4 million children started playing baseball then. So it went from 4 million, right? I forget the number who plays high school baseball. It's still a pretty large number. But then the ones that go on to play in college, just over 9,000. After that, I think there are only like 3,000 professional baseball players in the world, or something, like in America, maybe. And so when you don't have the expectation that the end result is going to be that you're on television playing baseball, because, well, that's a fairly unrealistic goal. What is it that you like hang your hat on, right? Like every day, like, why am I doing this? And so I just told him, I was like, you're just doing it to get better at it. And it's not for anyone else. It's not for your teammates. It's not for your coach. It's not for the game you play in. I don't care if you show up every week and you never get a hit. Like, just get better. Like, be accountable to yourself. And I guess the nice way to, like, the easy way to say that is that it's the journey, not the destination, I guess is the way people put it.
Yeah.
But I think about that for diabetes. I think about that for baseball. I think about it for my own life. And I want very badly for you to think about it that way too. That's how I find myself feeling while you're talking. So you might not agree with me, but.
I agree. Yeah. Reminds me of like another like thing I kind of remember. It's like progress, not perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause there's no point to the thing. Like, because like, let's say that at Cole's last baseball game, he got up 3 times and hit 3 home runs. It would still be over the next day. Right? It's just what it is. And things in life come and go. And so it's not about being perfect at it or showing somebody that you're good at it even. It's about finding a thing that you like and putting your effort into it. I don't even know if it's about getting better. I think it's just about being proud of yourself for trying, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I say it. But you didn't come on here for that. You didn't ask me to, right? You don't need that. Although it was pretty profound. I felt it as I was saying it. Max, I was like, I have a thought here. I wonder if I can get it out succinctly. And then it took me 6 minutes to say it.
You got it back. Hey, that's what counts.
Some people will later email and say, you could have just said it's the journey, not the destination.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's on that. It's a podcast. If I just said that, the whole thing would be 30 seconds long, right? We gotta
Yeah,
talk. We have to
exactly.
talk. Is there anything we have not spoken about that you were hoping to talk about today? Although you just remembered recently that you were coming back on, so I doubt it.
I think that might be it.
I think we did good.
I think we done good.
Yeah. So Oliver's doing well. He's having some problems, but you're addressing them.
Mhm.
And how about your stomach? Are you able to eat? And are you having fairly successful days for yourself?
I am now. So yeah, I was doing like very well. Like, like after I was originally diagnosed with the EPI. But then like my stomach issues actually just a few months ago, I'd say like 2-3 months ago now, they're starting to affect me really bad again. Like it was awful. I was like, okay, like I have to go, back to the specialist, like see what's up. Cause like it literally put me in the hospital 2 weeks in a row. Like I was like something up. So I did like a whole bunch of like more, like tests done or whatever. And that's when they like, oh, like you have ulcerative colitis, like some doctors, like were saying it was Crohn's, and then some like weren't. So they had like some more tests done to, figure that out. And then they like upped my dose on the enzyme replacement therapy. And so that's been like helping out like a lot. Like some days I do feel like, like my stomach's kind of acting up or whatever. But for the most part, it's doing well. But I still have to, kind of above Crohn's.
That's an autoimmune condition, correct? Ulcerative colitis?
I
think it is.
I don't know.
Let me take a look. I'll use the internet. Finally, used for the internet. Let's see. Mayo Clinic. Inflammatory bowel disease that causes inflammation in ulcers, digestive tract, innermost lining of your large intestines. Also, here's medicalnewstoday.com. Is ulcerative colitis an autoimmune disease? Ulcerative colitis is an autoimmune condition in which the immune system attacks healthy tissue in the gut. So, not surprising, maybe. Are they giving you simple things like are you taking what is the word I'm looking for? God, I'm bad with words today. That's perfect for a podcast, Max. Yeah.
I wasn't able to, pronounce some words earlier, but you helped me out. So that's fine.
Probiotics was the word I was searching for that I couldn't find. Are they giving you like simple things like that to try to calm your stomach?
No, actually, the first time I like went in to be seen for it, like in the, like ER, they had actually prescribed me like some antibiotics, I think, and like some steroids, but I was like, because of that, like it was, I mean, it affects my diabetes anyway, just, like the stomach issues, but then like the medication was also affecting it. And then the second time when I went in, they're like, oh, like they shouldn't even have given you that medication in the first place. They just made you worse. And I was like, oh, well, great.
The antibiotics made it worse. Is that what they were saying? Yeah, because that kind of kills your gut bacteria. And
yeah,
I wonder if maybe if you shouldn't ask them about a good, like a quality probiotic, not like just something you could buy over the counter, or even if you couldn't incorporate, foods that would help. Like yogurt with stuff in there, kimchi, things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like also like the difficult thing is, just like with my EPI, it's like I kind of should be eating like certain things and avoiding a lot of other things because, that messed me up too a lot. And so I was like, I really want to see a nutritionist, but it was like, we need to try to get like this managed or like figure out what it is like first, because if I try to see a nutritionist now, it's like, oh, I know I have type 1, I know I have EPI and UC, but it's like, do I have Crohn's or not? And then also like with my activity level now, it's like everything's affecting each other, and they like wouldn't even be able to give me like like a meal plan to, like base, like my day off of. They're like, so much is just like out of whack right now. Like we have to wait until you're, I guess, like more stable to, make up some kind of thing for you. And I was like, well, that makes perfect sense. And like it got to a point where I was just like, I was like, just give me a feeding tube. I was like, I know how to do it. Like Oliver, was on 24/7 feeds for the longest time. Like I was like, just give me the stuff.
I'm ready to give up on food. It's okay.
Yeah, it got to that point where I was like, or give me like a what is it? Like a colostomy bag, something. Like I was just done.
Right.
Completely done. Because it was literally, it doesn't sound really gross, but it was literally like a couple times a week. Like I was shitting myself, and I was like, and I'm in like awful pain. Like I am crying. I'm scared to eat. I was scared to eat. Like I was just like, no. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna like make my stomach worse, and if it does, like I'm gonna be out for the day. So I was like so fed up. And I was like, just give me some feeds. And I was like, we can probably just put me on, like a certain dose of long acting, and, you could just call it good. Like my blood sugar will be perfect.
Yeah. I feel like there's somebody on the Facebook page for the podcast who is going through a diagnosis right now that is similar to EPI. I think. Her pancreas is not producing sufficient enzymes. Is that part of it?
Yeah, that's EPI.
That's it, right? Yeah. So, when you get off, I can tell you her name. If you can go find her posts and see if you can maybe chat with her. She maybe could help, or maybe you guys could commiserate a little bit or something. I mean, it can't hurt to learn what other people are learning too, because then you've got the benefit of their doctor's appointment and your doctor's appointment. You can kind of make sense out of things a little easier sometimes when you have more information like that. But I don't know. It's up to you. I definitely don't want to.
No, I'm very open to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think any situation where you're not shitting yourself would be really optimal.
Right. Yeah. It would be ideal.
It would be ideal. Exactly. Ideal. Oh my gosh.
The thing is, actually at one of my last appointments with, like my diabetes team, I was talking like to my doctor, and he's like, well, I don't know, like what it like could also be adding to it, or like it's a possibility. He's like, have you ever heard of diabetic diarrhea? And I was like, what did you just say?
I've never heard of that. Hold on.
And
what did he say that like, was?
And he was like, like normally, like when your blood sugar sides, actually like, you get constipated, like it's hard to poop. He's like, but this is like the opposite, where it's like, it's kind of like, like your neuropathy, where your, like diabetes hasn't been managed, and it affects, like your intestines, like your bowels and stuff. So then you're, obviously they're not working as well. He was like, but most of the time, like after taking care of yourself for so long, like, it could get better. Or he was like, yeah, it could just be like chronic diabetic diarrhea.
We don't want that. Also, I never want anybody to say that on the podcast again. But well, I am going to ask you. I do have to go, but I do want to ask you. Like, do you have fewer symptoms and problems when your blood sugars are more stable and lower?
Yes, it's constant unless I'm not taking my enzymes.
Okay, so but I mean, what about just your blood sugars? Like, where's your A1C right now? Do you know?
I don't.
Okay. What about, does the Libre let you know like your last 90 days or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's up there right now.
It's higher.
I actually was just looking at it earlier. And it was in the 300s. Because like I said, like we're still, like trying to get this, like whatever stomach issue, bowel issue, just all the issues kind of like figured out. And it's been really difficult, especially like with, like I said, like also like my activity level, where it's like either I'll be like, like dropping insanely fast, or, like I'll try to correct it and then I'll be like high, or
Are you using,
If
are you using a pump?
No, so I'm actually working
MDI.
towards getting one right
Okay.
now. We're trying to get like the T, like a closed loop, like T Slim.
Yeah, that would be a big deal, I think, for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably like within like the next month, I think actually, I'll be able to, finally get one.
Right. No, I mean, listen, I think it's kind of step one is to get your blood sugar lower and stable, and see if it doesn't help you with some of these things at the very least, or lessen some of the impacts of some of the problems, especially with the neuropathy. Like I've it's, you kind of can't turn back time, but I've heard people say that they've seen their problems slow down or stop the progression when they get their stuff together.
Oh, so. Yeah. Like, when I was younger, I actually had, like the early stages of retinopathy in my right eye, and I was actually able to reverse that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you get I hope they set you up with an algorithm, like some sort of a closed loop system. I mean, Omnipod 5 just came out. The Control IQ would be great. Like whatever they can get you would be amazing. You think you could stay focused on using it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Good. All right. Well, Max, I'm sorry I called you Maddie for 45 minutes, but I really did appreciate you coming back on. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Oh, now you're breaking up again.
So much fun.
Wait, sorry, I couldn't hear anything you said. No, it's okay. Say it again. What did you say?
I said yes. So much fun.
Wouldn't it be funny if you said no and I made you repeat it and you were like, no, it was not good.
Oh my gosh. It will just edit that out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, I would never do that. If somebody came on here and was like, I hate your podcast, I'd be like, oh, cool. Tell me about that. I don't care. Whatever you think is fine with me. Yeah, whatever you think is fine with me. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you very much for doing this. Can you hold on 1 second for me?
Yeah.
Thanks. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. Get your diabetes supplies from US Med. usmed.com/juicebox. Or call 888-721-1514. Get your free benefits check today from US Med, a company who has served over 1 million people living with diabetes since 1996. Get a blood glucose meter that you deserve, an accurate one that is easy to use and hold and carry. Get the Contour Next One blood glucose meter at contournext.com/juicebox. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.